Hey everybody, this is Jimmy with Cash from the Past, and today we're going to build a 286 computer. I've been setting aside some parts that I've been wanting to use in this build, but I haven't been able to find a motherboard, and I finally found one a couple days ago at an eWays place. So we're going to try it out. So here's a closer look at the motherboard. Like I said, I just found it a couple days ago. It was at an eWays place, just kind of at the top of a big pile of circuit boards. It wasn't in a case or in a bag or protected by anything. It was just sitting kind of on the top of this big pile, and it looked really nice. So I bought it. It was pretty cheap, so I wasn't too worried about it if it didn't work. But like I said, I already tested it, and it seems to totally work fine. I haven't been able to find any information on it. It seems like it's made by a place called Rolm or Roll M. Looks like it's got some part numbers, but I can't find anything on the internet at all for specifications and jumper settings and things like that. So I've pretty much found all of them though. The only one I can't really figure out how to hook up to is the turbo button correctly. I found a couple jumpers that I believe change the clock speed, and there's a couple different clocks next to it that it looks like it switches between. But I'm not sure how to set them to get which speed or how to hook up the turbo. It looks like I'm going to have to try some things and try to figure out how to get that working correctly. Over here we have the other pins, speaker, LED, reset, and key lock. We should be able to hook up to those without any trouble. Here's the actual processor, the Intel 8286, and this one's running at 12 megahertz. It's got 8 RAM slots and they're all completely full. And these were actually in it when I found the board, so I think we'll just be leaving them in there. I believe these are probably 1 megabyte a piece, so that'd give us 8, but we'll see when we get in there, maybe they're more. Over in the corner here, we've got the power connector, which is the old style, and the keyboard. The keyboard is pretty much the only I/O that the motherboard has built into it. Right behind it there is the battery plug. It uses an external battery, and I think that's probably the main reason that this thing is still intact today. If something like this had been using one of those NiCad batteries, it probably wouldn't have made it this long. Probably would have exploded and ruined the board by now. It's one of the main reasons you don't see very many of them, I think, because most of them use those batteries that explode really badly. You see more 486 and 386 stuff because they actually use some of the 2032 watch type batteries that all the modern computers use. And over here we have the main purpose of the motherboard is to plug everything into. There's 8 16-bit ISA slots in it. Just ready to take whatever you want to put in there. Let's take a look at some of the other components. The video card I've got for it is going to be this ATI VGA Wonder 16. It's a VGA card, but it's also supposed to automatically switch between EGA and CGA also. And it's also has a Microsoft bus mouse port on it in case I ever find one of those that I want to use. They're not all that common though, so that probably won't come up. And this has a date of 1989 on it. I'm trying to keep everything around the late 80s, early 90s. The motherboard has a date of 1990 on it. The sound card that I've got picked out for it is this Sound Blaster clone from 1992. It's not made by Creative, but I actually have the manual and discs for it. There's it. And in the manual, they call it the Sound Wonder, but the discs that I got with it call it Music Master. So, we'll have to see what happens when we get it plugged in there. And here's the I/O card we're going to use. It's the Super I/O card. And it should have everything that we need for it, for today anyway. Got the IDE here, the floppy drive. And over here, these two I was thinking I probably didn't actually need, since we have a game port already in the sound card, and I don't really need that other serial port. But coming out of the back here, we've got the serial port. Serial port, it's good for mice, and a regular parallel port. For the 5 1/4 floppy drive, which I think I'm going to set up as A, we might have to switch it back and forth during installation to get things to boot correctly. We've got this Epson drive that is pretty neat looking. I liked it. It's a little bit more rounded and has a little bit of a different look than a lot of the other floppy drives that are real squared off and boxy. For the 3.5-inch floppy drive, I'm going to use this Mitsumi, mostly because it's not the TIAC FD235 that's in practically every computer. For the hard drive, we're going to be using this Conner 3.5-inch drive, and it is a massive 84 megabytes. And if you hadn't noticed, we're going to be installing MS-DOS 5 off of 5.25-inch floppy disks. And here's the case we're going to be using. I think it's pretty neat looking. It's got this front cover underneath with the power switch. It's got a removable motherboard tray. Got the power supply, lots of slots. And this part isn't removable, but we should be able to slip everything in there without any trouble. Behind the cover here, we've got the power switch and the turbo and reset buttons and the LED display. The turbo and reset switches are these little membrane buttons, and the lights here for the turbo and hard disk and power are pretty neat looking actually. And with the case empty, we can actually power it on here. You can see what they look like. And right now it's saying 116 megahertz, so we're going to need to figure out how to fix that, which I think we're going to go ahead and do right now. We're going to see if we can get this LED display to say the right thing on it. We can go ahead and start it up and just work on it while it's going. On the inside here, it's got 3 groups of jumpers, and it says 1s, 10s, and 100ths. So I'm assuming that's for each digit. And one jumper probably corresponds to LEDs in the display. So we can just start taking them out and seeing which ones do what. We probably can just go ahead and get rid of all of them in the 100ths section. So for the tenths, the 1 is fine. And for the last digit though, we're trying to get a 2, so we can see what happens when we start pulling things here. We want to keep that for a 2. That one. So we just need to take that one out and we'll be good. Nope, not that one. This one. I want that one. There we go. Alright, it says 12 now. So we've got that fixed. Or set up. And this thing looks pretty neat when it's got the cover on it. So now it's time to start putting things together. Well, I ran into a problem. This 5.25 floppy drive from Epson doesn't go in very far. This is about as far as it'll go in. And the cover will not close. It looks like it's because this front section is this front section here is a lot thicker than other floppy drives. Let's see, here's one. This part is a lot thinner here. So this one should slip in there, and that one fits correctly like that. So I think we're also going to be we're going to be using this 5 1/4 floppy drive, and I'm also going to switch the 3 1/2 so that the colors match better. Well, I think we should try to turn it on and see if it works right now, make sure everything's working so far. So let's see if it starts. Looks like the monitor turned on. And alright, it seems to be working. So let's see, it's doing a memory test. We'll get rid of that, skip that. Alright, so it's asking for a boot disk, so I'll put the disk 1 from the MS-DOS in. Well, it seems to be working. I think it's loading now. Reading the disk some more. Alright, well, it's trying to start the setup program. So we'll just exit out of this for now. It says the hard drive's not working currently. And so that floppy's working. Let's check the other one. And it seems to be reading also. You can start, you can hook the hard drive up and start working on it, format the hard drive, and start installing stuff. So we're starting it up here again. Get rid of the memory test. I already set the hard drive up in BIOS. So we got it to boot from the startup disk. It's gonna back out and check out the hard drive and probably format it. Let's check it out on F disk. Go back to C disk. Okay, so it's a FAT16 partition already, and it's already all formatted. So we can just reformat it, and it'll be ready to go. Looks like it's done formatting now. We can go back into setup. I think it should just be setup, right? Or install. Yeah, it looks like setup. That looks correct. And not run the shell. Jeez, shit's happening outside. Well, as I was trying to install DOS, the power went out. It's back on now, so let's try to start it again here. Try to get it installed this time. We might have to run setup again. It might have forgotten about our hard drive setup. Oh, it's still got it. Alright, so we're gonna get started with DOS again. Settings. We'll fix that later. Run shell. We don't want to run shell. Alright, well, we'll probably fast forward through this part here. It looked like the first disk had some bad sections on it, but it seemed like the files it was unable to copy just had to do with the DOS shell and the help. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if it runs. Let's take the disk out. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Looks like we've got something here. Just for fun here, let's see if the shell works. Oh gosh, look at that. Seems like it does. Alright, everybody. Well, it's been a couple days, and in the meantime, I went to a flea market and I found this monitor. So I wanted to try it out with the computer we were working on here. It's an IBM 5151 monitor. It's the one that came out with the original 5150 computer, I believe. And it's pretty neat looking. It's got the 9-pin CGA, EGA output, so I wanted to test that out on our video card. I've got it plugged in to our video card, and I didn't have to set any dip switches or anything like that. So it's supposed to just automatically work. So we'll see how it goes here. It's a pretty cool looking green text. Let's see if I can. I think we'll skip the memory test, and since we don't have the CMOS battery fixed yet, we're probably going to have to enter our hard drive settings in again here. Yeah. So let's do that. 832, 6 heads, and 33 sectors. Go ahead and escape, save. So we should be able to get back into our hard drive now and boot. I'm gonna skip this memory test again. Alright, there we go. So it came with these discs here. Two. So we'll see. The sound card came with these 2 discs anyway. Let's see what's on them. So there's an MM setup, which is probably what we want, and there's a README. Let's check that out. Oh, no. That's a folder? No. There we go. To install, just execute the installation program mmsetup.bat, found on the diskette labeled disk 1. We'll install all music master card files onto your PC hard disk. Alright. So mm setup. Yes. Yes. Yeah, A is correct. Yeah, destination CMM. Yes. All necessary files have been copied to your hard drive. Any key to continue. Scan IO address. Our queue number 7. DMA. Test OK. Installation complete. Alright, so let's see if there's some sort of there must be some sort of test or something. Demo? Maybe that's it. Demo 1? No. Oh, let's see, just No? Oh. Oh. test. There we go. Scan. All right. And voice. Yeah. Oh. Alright, we can even test recording, but I don't think we want to do that right now. So, it looks like they work. Let's see. So this software came with one other disc, or the video card, or the sound card came with one other disc. It says Game Pack software, Commander Keen, and Cosmo. Press install, or type install at DOS prompt. Let's see here. So let's try Cosmo. Oop. Yes. See? And which disk directory? Yeah, sure. The first half of Cosmo's Cosmic Adventure, Forbidden Planet, Episode 1, is now on Drive C in directory whatever. To play this game, you must also install the other half, which is the file CA1B-ASP. Yep. C Cosmo 1. Forbidden Planet. Oh, so it uses the PC speaker and the regular speakers. Choosing both here. Do. Alright, that's bomb. Boom. Seems to run it pretty slowly, but yep, it's working. Woo. And let's check out the other game here too. and the other half. Alright, let's go to the hard drive. Key 4E. Let's see. Oop. Alright. I don't know. Alright. That seems to be working alright. Well, here's the inside again. I did a little bit more cable management and got this hard drive light hooked up correctly to the I/O board. So I think we're about ready to put the case back on and finish it off. Well, that's the 286 build. I was really happy about getting this one done. Like I said, I was looking for the motherboard for this thing for a long time. I still need to figure out how to get the turbo button set up. Hopefully this motherboard can do that. If anyone knows how to do that, you let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and leave some comments and let me know what you think. Let's start this thing up one more time and see how the lights look through the shade.